This is going to be a staple eye look to save for later if you're just like, I just want to look gorgeous, classic, smoky, dramatic, but like I didn't put too much effort in. This is going to be great for weddings, for dates, for engagement parties, for just going to bloody supermarket. Because who cares? Life's short. Wear the makeup you want to wear for whatever you want to wear it for. I wore very, very dark lip liner contrast when I was 15 to my sister's wedding, and she was not happy, but I was. She still loves me. Okay, we're going to start with a paint pot from MAC cream eyeshadow. It could be in a liquid form like this. It could be in a cream form like this. This is one of my favorite products for eyeshadow. I haven't used them that much lately because I kind of forget that they're there. And I need two brushes. This is a fluffy ponytail brush. This is number 11, KJH in Spectrum. And then this is number 7, KJH in Spectrum. This is my own personal one. So I'm just going to go straight to the jar and pick up some product on one side of the brush. And then I'm just simply going to go to the lash line and start buffing in the color. And I might not even need this brush, but we'll see. So I'm just sort of gradually, do you see how easy that was? I just gradually put a little bit of the color at the lash line, and then I'm really carefully, I'm not holding the brush tight, I'm not pulling my lid with the brush or tugging my lid. I'm sort of just gently feathering and blending it. If you're lucky, you will hear a full-grown man snoring about 15 feet away from me. So this is your step one. This is like your base. This is your primer. You do not need an eyeshadow primer when you use these. I actually encourage you to powder the lid a little bit if you're oily before using a paint pot cream shadow, because it will just give you a little bit more longevity out of it. But if you don't already do that and your system works for you, please don't change it. So I went onto this eye a little bit differently. I went on with more of a general wash as opposed to building the colour from the root of the lash. So now I'm just going to fix and intensify the root of the lash. But this is a really beautiful shadow for fair to light to medium skin tones. It might start going a little silvery on more like medium to deep skin tones. As you can see, it's got a tiny bit of a sheeny pearl in there. Okay, so then this is done. Easy, quick first step. And this brush was just there in case I needed to blend edges a little bit more and buff it out and make it bigger. The thing is, the difference between these two brushes is this is dense, so this will pull the color around more furiously than this. This will pull the color around very softly and effortlessly because it's softer. Soft brushes are more delicate blenders. Dense brushes are more firm blenders. That said, if you're using a dense product, typically a denser brush will get you where you need to be, as opposed to a fluffy brush. But I mean, try both and see what you like, and you'll find what works for you. Okay, so first step done. I'm just putting the same color underneath the lash line before I go in with my next step. My lip is a lip liner, by the way, that's a KJH brand sample that we're working on developing, and then this is just a Maybelline color in the middle. It's called More Stone. Now, for the sake of not using loads of brushes, I'm just going to buff this brush into a towel and remove the excess. So that was what was in this brush. Now it's good to use for the next thing I'm about to do. If you have oily lids, you can powder at this step if you want to. I typically don't have oily lids, I have drier lids, so I'm just going to put some pencil on my lash line. This is a kohl pencil, so this is something that is going to give me smudgeability. However, it is going to be given a bit more of a long wear ability because of this. This being like a priming product. I'm just buffing it with that dense brush that I first applied, just to make it soft and smudgy. Do the same on the other side, and you always just want to stay close to the lash line so that you have control of where it goes. And a pencil like this also, if you sharpen it first, you'll obviously get more of a defined line. If you don't sharpen it first, you won't get a defined line. We're blending it out, so I don't need a defined line. This is Makeup Forever Limitless Brown. And I'm going to use that just in the forward part of my eye here. I'm probably not going to blend that part. Same there. This is optional, obviously, because, you know, it's tickly or it's maybe uncomfortable if you don't do eye makeup on yourself that much. Okay, and then I'm actually going to blend that. So you're just going to literally tickle it with the brush to blend the edges. And then I'm going to go underneath as well. Just a little bit, just there. To just refine the bottom lash line and define the bottom lash line, I mean. And then again, blending it with that brush. Now, if you're a natural, no makeup type of person, this might be enough for you, so you would go ahead and put your mascara on at this step. But if you're not and you want to keep going, I'm going to keep going for you. I'm going to grab this palette from YSL. It's called 710 Couture Mini Clutch. These are nice because they have a shimmer, a pearl, and then a pearly deep, and then a matte brown. And I'm going to go for this brush. And I'm literally just sort of going to go over the brown that I first applied by picking up a tiny bit of the product and just tapping it onto the outer part of my lid to add a little bit more depth. Now, if you have a hooded eye, you're going to want to do your eyeshadow with your eye open, looking forward like this, and just sandwich the brush on its flat part, so like the pointiest part, like straight on, not like flat. Sandwich the sort of the ponytail brush, this number 11 brush, between the lid and the fold of the upper lid. So you're sort of going to go right there. That way you're going to have that height from the eyeshadow that you would need, where it typically gets hidden by the fold of your crease. And this is again getting a little bit more technical than what this video sort of intended to be, but I feel like we all have different levels of makeup and different choices of makeup that we want to wear. But this is how I do my makeup when I want to go for a smoky eye with a hooded eye, or even a wing liner. And then this is really nice because what's left in this brush, you just start sort of really delicately pulling it up toward the brow. Just make sure that the brush isn't tugging the skin when you do so, because it will actually give you a nicer blend. Okay, I'm going to take some of that same colour and I'm going to go, see where I've got a shadow there? I actually want to enhance it, so I'm going to go right under it, but in it as well. So sort of on the part that's bright into the part that's dark. Naturally on me, I just love that detail, and it sort of defines the nose in an indirect sort of way. If you've got nice fluffy eyebrows, you can buff a little colour into them too to make it look even more part of your face. When different areas of the face blend into different areas of the face from a makeup perspective, like if your blush merges into your bronzer and your lip liner merges into your lipstick and it's blended together, everything kind of looks nicer. So don't be afraid to sort of, you know, bridge things, sandwich things. These methods also will work for every eye colour. You just want to start, or every eye colour, or every eyeshadow colour is what I meant to say by that, versus eye colours. Eye colours, I think, don't follow rules. Wear a colour that makes you happy, period. Essentially, like, just start with some sort of lighter shade as your wash of colour, build the lashes a bit deeper with a darker colour, and then find a middle shade that's not as dark as the lash line colour and not as light as the colour that you originally applied to do this step with, if you so choose. This is a sample brush from a lab, but I'm going to use a bit of this chocolate brown slightly, and I'm just going to define the top lash line that I did with the pencil. So what you're doing is essentially you're putting powders over creams, making them last longer, and being so slight and delicate about how much product I apply, and just gradually getting to where I want to be, as opposed to putting too much product on and then fighting to blend it. And then I'm doing the same underneath, just very, very, very subtle and slight. And then with what's on this brush, if you want it to be pointed up a little bit towards the wing shape, you can do that from the bottom lash line. If you have a hooded eye, it's quite easy. And then sort of just sandwich it again between that lash line, between the fold and the crease, and sort of just bevel up. You always want to bevel up toward the hair at the temples more than what you might think if you're trying to get lift. And again, you're barely pressing, barely touching the skin. I notice people tell me a lot when I do their makeup, they're like, I can barely feel the brushes on my face. It's a big reason why the makeup might look the way it does. Now we're back to this brush. I'm going to use this brush, even though there's a tiny bit of a brown shadow in it, to just blend things like that. And then I've got just like a decent, nice, taupey brown kind of lid. Also, always remember, mascara is going to make this look like a lot darker. So at a point where you're like, oh, this feels like the right amount for me, put your mascara on. You can always add a little bit more. I'm going to take a tiny bit of that pearly sparkly shade from that palette from YSL and just tap that sort of on a vertically, sort of like a little bit of a, not a straight line, but sort of up and away. Up and away. Where the music is my fantasy. Oh my god, that was a song from when I was a childhood that just pops into my head. It was like a happy hardcore song. God, my fellow 41-year-olds from Merseyside will felt every word of what I just said. The music we used to listen to was mad. Alright, I'm going to do black mascara. I'm going to use Milk Kush. And I'm just going to get it into the roots of the lash. I always blink on the wand. That gives you that fluffy root, and then I like to sort of pull through like so. Sometimes if I want more product on the ends of the lashes, I'll use the vertical. Because I've only got definition on the outer part here that's dark, I'm only going to do the outer part of my lashes. Because your lashes can also be detailed in a delicate way, kind of like eyeshadow would be. Alright, so I accidentally got a little mascara on my lid. I just wait for it to dry, and then I flick it off with a spoolie. And then I brush my lashes back into place. It wasn't dry enough, but if you let it dry more, it will come off easier. And my final step, a tiny bit of Hyper Shine in Light Pink, just to make my skin gleam even more.